Well, I just wanted to end this Wednesday evening with a couple of thoughts to you. Good evening, church. Love all of you. It is still strange to be doing this virtual world, but you know what? It's okay. James Carr runs the camera when I preach, so I do have one person to preach to, and poor James has had to listen to every sermon of mine as the only recipient of it. And I was telling him today that sort of reminds me of that blizzard that happened up in New England, and only one member made it to the church, an elderly farmer, and so they were going to call off. But then the preacher said, "Hey, man, uh, listen, do you think we ought to have service?" He said, "Well, I'm here." He said, "If my cows are out and only one of them shows up, I still feed him." And so the pastor got up and actually got kind of wound up, preached for about 2 hours. And when he finished, he said, "What'd you think?" And he said, "Well, preacher, I appreciate that, but if only one cow came around, I wouldn't feed him all the hay I had." So, getting used to all of that and this sort of distancing thing, we're gonna make it through. But I did just want to say a word after we are dealing with this constant drip of difficult news and realize just how complex and challenging this is. And it's been long enough that it's starting to feel tiring and hard. Also, people are in their house all the time, and people, it kind of reached a very hard place to me this week because I've been seeing people posting their high school graduation pictures from 40 years ago. And, some of you looked pretty good in those pictures, but not all of us feel that way about our high school pictures. But at any rate, we're just kind of looking for all sorts of things to do. I am learning some things. I'm learning that you don't, you don't turn the camera where they can look up your nose if you're doing things, and really important stuff like that. But one thing I want to say to our families, when thinking about high school seniors and all of that, I go back to that time in my life. It was when I was called to the ministry, and I don't remember much about my high school graduation, but I do remember my youth group, and I remember the sense of God being in my life. And there was a lot of turmoil going on with me at that time, and it still was a meaningful time. And whatever this is right now, God is in the midst of it. And I just want to encourage our young people, and we are proud of you, and we want you to have a good transition through this time too, and appreciate you. I want to talk about a song that was meaningful to me back a long time ago, but it's one we still sing, called "I Have Decided to Follow Jesus." It was maybe 175 years ago. There was a revival in Wales. A lot of missionaries left from England. Maybe it's longer than that, I don't know, but they went from England and Germany to Northeast India to spread the gospel there. And at that time, Northeast India was known as Assam, and hundreds of tribes, and they were very primitive and aggressive, and some of them were headhunters and pretty violent people, and people got killed. So during this time, Christians came there to spread the gospel of Jesus, and they were not welcomed. And there are lots of stories about people giving their life for the gospel during that time. But this song came out of that time, and in fact, the only tune that's ever been connected with it is called Assam, which is that region in northeast India, which is close to that part where Awan Shanglai, who was a part of our church and is there now, was from. And so this was a folk song from one of the tribes there. And whatever its origin, it was connected with some kind of experience of persecution. There are some pretty detailed tales told about it, but it was an Indian convert that wrote the song. And is pretty powerful. And the story is told that a family sang this song while they were being put to death one by one. I don't know the veracity of that story, but it is that kind of a courageous story. Um, I was teaching African American lay people and pastors in Southwest Georgia many years ago on a Saturday. We had a graduation when they finished their certificate, so we got gowns and caps and all of that, and for many of them they'd not even finished high school, and so we were marching down the aisle in the church out in the country where we were doing this, and got halfway, and the pastor, we're kind of marching along, and he said, "Preacher, the choir didn't show tonight." And I said, "Oh," and he said, "Yes, we heard you could sing. We wondered if you would sing for us." And, well, halfway down the church aisle is not where I want to be trying to think of a song that I know the words to. And I thought of this one because it's so simple. And so I got up and I sang it for them that night, and they were very encouraging. I think because it's so simple, it strikes my heart. It's kind of like one of those things that when you forget just about every other song you'll still remember this one, like Amazing Grace. The words are so basic and so simple, and I think sometimes in odd times like this, that's kind of what we need. So anyway, I'm here in my little guitar room I've got at the house, and thought I might sing this for you as a closing thought tonight. I know we've done some challenging business on the phone and hope that has gone well. But whatever it is, we're going to make it on through, and I'd just like to share this with you tonight. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. No turning back. No turning back. There are worse things to be focused on right now than just that one thing. And as hard as things are right now, maybe just keep coming back to those simple things, good memories, make the best of a difficult situation, and let's hang in there together. No turning back. That's kind of the way it is. Blessings on you all. Hope you have a good night tonight. Bye.